Chapter 1. RAF Wildenrath, West Germany, 1980. The doors of the hardened aircraft shelter swung outwards beneath the protective concrete canopy, the clang echoing around the revetment walls as the massive clamshells shuddered to a halt. On the apron, the ground crew moved with a purpose, assembling the equipment that they would need for the sea-in, the noise of the approaching aircraft emphasizing the urgency of their task. Across the dispersal, the nose of the Phantom fighter appeared around the bend in the loop taxiway as it emerged from the trees which ringed the site, making its way purposefully towards HAS 54. Out of its element, it looked ungainly, yet its functional to some ugly profile imparted an air of menace. With its pronounced cheek air intakes, upturned wingtips, and matte green gun pods slung beneath the fuselage, it was described as the triumph of thrust over aerodynamics. The crews who flew the Phantom had a love-hate relationship with the machine. By now, the appearance of the modern American F-15A fighter threatened to negate the invincibility they had once enjoyed. They had become used to being the only fighter in Europe equipped with a long-range Sparrow air-to-air missile and a look-down, shoot-down air intercept radar. Losing their preeminence did not sit well with some. Even so, detractors could criticise the machine, but no one could ignore it. Another station exercise, Exercise Wildman, was in full swing. It was a monthly event to keep the crews of the airbase, a key link in the NATO air defence chain, in shape. It had already been going on for 3 days, and by now tempers were fraying, and energy was rapidly ebbing away. Stamina, rather than enthusiasm, had taken over. The crew chief sprinted out of the neck of the hardened aircraft shelter, or HAS, and held his hands above his head to attract the attention of the pilot of Mike Lima 66. The immediate flash of the taxi light embedded in the nosewheel door of the aircraft was his acknowledgement that the pilot had seen him. Unbidden, another airman moved out into the lee of the revetment walls, ready to check the clearance of the wingtips as the Phantom entered the confined area of the HAS neck. Large concrete walls, protected by the heavy earth overburden, ringed the enclosed dispersal. A scraped wingtip would be costly, not to say embarrassing to aircrew and ground crew alike. No one could afford for the aircraft to be out of action for the days it would take to fix a mistake. As the aircraft pulled to a halt, nodding forward briefly on its oleos, a piercing wail split the air, barely audible above the noise of the jet engines. "Attack! Attack! Attack! Air attack! Wear respirators! Take cover! Air raid warning red!" The moaning siren emphasised the depressing message, but achieved the desired response as the actions around the HAS took on an added urgency. The immediate priority was to shelter the aircraft quickly before the air raid struck. The HAS site would be a prime target for the incoming bombers, already approaching the airfield boundary at high speed on their attack run. Working furiously, the crew chief attached the towing arm to the nose undercarriage leg, ready for the pushback, whilst 10 feet above in the cockpit, the pilot pushed his mask back to his face and slid his clear visor down, protecting himself from what he feared would be a chemical weapons attack. This has been Defector, written, produced and narrated by David Gledhill.